Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name's Kirby. What a pleasure to be with you tonight. I am thrilled that you've joined us. This has been the second year that Pride has been canceled in Toronto, and I just couldn't let that be. So I wanted to do a special Pride event, which is actually the last event of our season until we start again in the fall. And as you know, since you're here, I have a new book coming out this fall called Poetry is Queer. I am thrilled, and I'm thrilled to being able to do a little sneak preview and share sections of it with you this evening. And what's also amazing is that two of my dearest and favorite queer poets have joined me. When they said yes, I knew it was a go. So we have Travis Sharp here and Joshua Escobar. Their books respectively, Yes, I Am a Corpse Flower, Travis Sharp's wonderful book that we published just recently, and you'll hear from it this evening. And of course, Joshua Escobar's wonderful Bareback Nightfall. And Joshua, I have your wonderful little queer pinata that you'd gifted me from about a year ago, and it sits on my desk on my little lamp here that keeps me company always. So it's a sweet thing to have that with me. And you know what? This is how we're going to do tonight. I'm simply going to ask that we take our time, and I'm really open to listening tonight. And first, I want to do a bit of a land acknowledgement, but I honestly have to tell you, I can't do a land acknowledgement by rote this evening. We're on their land. Settler colonialism and the residential school system continue to harm the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the peoples indigenous to this land. We acknowledge this territory in order to witness and act in solidarity against these ongoing injustices and in the spirit of upholding our treaty obligations. It's not enough to wear the orange ribbon. It's not enough to wear the orange shirt. Orange is not going to cover this whatsoever. So, topple as many statues as you'd like. But quite frankly, I'm really pleased with the bloody handprints on the doors of the Catholic Church. And it is time to tax the fuck out of them, not spend a single dollar on Catholic schools, public money. It's done, enough, okay? I'm done. So that's where I stand. And my poetry is going to speak more to it this evening as we continue. But fuck the land acknowledgement. We're on their land. Let's fucking respect and make this right. Okay. I smiled and laughed because otherwise my belly coils up and it doesn't feel good. Okay. There's been a lot to stomach of late. A whole fucking lot to stomach. That's what I mean by wanting to take it a little slow tonight. Because there's words that I want to share with you tonight. And we're going to have to go a little slow for that. Okay? And I so appreciate the opportunity to be able to share this new material with you. But first, I have such joy in presenting two queer poets that you simply must hear. And the first, of course, is Travis Sharp. Travis Sharp is the author of the poetry collection, Yes, I Am a Corpse Flower, and the chapbooks Sinister Queer Agenda and 1 + 1 is 2 ones. And he co-curated the digital book Radio 11816 from SA Press. He has an MFA in creative writing and poetry from the University of Washington, Bothell, and is a PhD candidate in the SUNY Buffalo Poetics program and is beginning a postdoc at Buffalo this fall. With Megan Wilson, he's co-editing Plantable Chapbooks. Oh my God, I saw the first edition, it was divine. a series of poetry chapbooks, letterpress printed on seed paper. The chapbooks designed to be planted after being read, springing up a variety of wildflowers. How fucking queer is that? Would you please join me in welcoming Travis Sharp?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Kirby. Yeah, the fundamental problem of the letterpress printed plantable chapbook is that it looks pretty and then no one actually wants to plant it. So I think we have to actually make them ugly. So sorry, Kirby. All right, I'm going to, and Kirby, can you yell at me if I go over time? I've been, time is kind of a strange concept these days. So I'm going to read some poems from the book that Kirby published at KFB, and then I'm going to read a couple of newer poems. I think there's like an emotional arc to the reading. So some like more fun poems, and then a really sad / angry poem, and then some like nice poems at the end. Yeah, so there's a bit of a journey there. Okay, from this book, I'm reading this series of 5 poems called "The Body Under Valuation." 1. Love song to a young Brendan Fraser. The boy is connected to the cock, and the cock is constricted by the ass, and the ass is described in a compliment, and the compliment is connected to the mouth, and the mouth is connected to the esophagus, and the esophagus is replicated in a sex toy that is in the recommendation section on Amazon. And the recommendation section on Amazon describes the sex toy as containing ridges that stimulate the penis and simulate the texture of the throat. And the texture of the throat is connected to the tongue, and the tongue is connected to another tongue, and another tongue is connected to another body, and another body has an arm, and an arm is connected to my thigh, and my thigh is connected to my knee, and my knee is connected to his hips, and his hips are connected to my hands, and my hands are connected to my skull, and my skull is connected to my skin, and my skin is connected to the mattress, and the mattress is connected to semen left by the other body, and the other body is connected to a steering wheel, and the steering wheel is connected to a vehicle, and the vehicle is connected to the road, and the road is connected to tax dollars that we didn't have to pay because we were poor, and my poor is connected to my parents' poor, and my parents' poor is connected to the trailer park, and the trailer park is connected to a memory of when I was a child watching TV, and the TV was connected to the VCR, and the VCR was connected to a VHS, and the VHS contained a film. And the film was George of the Jungle. And George was my first crush. And my first crush was connected to my tiny mattress. And my tiny mattress was connected to me cuddling with George. My head connected to his chin. My hand connected to his hair. 2. I'm too busy twinking. I can't work for money. Cautiously buoyant and a left-leaning twink tank, and it's so great, so grand, so gracious, so feed America the fee, or so the Twink Tank newsletter tells us, and they mean the homo nationalized, and they mean revolutionarily dislike, and they mean $ pronounced ka-ching, and I mean really it's not that hard. So what, we burn all of their houses and we take all of their money and we rub it on our twink dicks and we rub it on our twink pussies and we put the greenbacks in our bleached holes, and Alexander loves it and Abe loves it and Georgie loves it. They haven't seen this much action in ever, and we pass them around our capital daddies and they judge us, judge our pores, judge our heels, judge our cock-licking skills. I mean, capitalism is a daddy pissing contest, am I right? So says the Twink Tank newsletter. You can't take the boy out of capitalism, but you can take capitalism's cock out of the boy. But what's a gender non-conforming, but not that pretty, just a little pretty boy to do? We eat bits of lettuce and look away when you smile. 3. I still have no money, but I'm still cute. Am gesturing, am gesticulating, am gestating, am just stating the obvious. My gender is faggot in need of a daddy. I have a lot of student loans. Boy in distress, boy, classic boy, chic boy in classy clothes with a classy theme song. Hear me, I eat men like hair. I am well defined. Well, look at these borders, this body bordered with confusion, confused with gentlest gender. My gentle as ginger is a gingerly touching my genders on the market with pictures of my gender done up in designer. It's expensive, cheap, chic, looks fucking amazing on a mannequin, a headless mannequin in a department store, looking at my hips thrust sideways. It looks uncomfortable, but powerful. The sexiest plastic thighs you have ever seen. A man in a jersey has to excuse himself. These hairless plastic thighs wrapped tightly around his neck. He can't, okay, but really, my gender eats sprinkles and shits glitter, and eats glitter and shits glitter, and eats shit. So fab, my gender so ready to till the soil of those bones so tender. Body gasping, gaping. 4. Dream vision where I am a productive member of society. In a recurring dream, I am farming my organs. The only one I can extract from the ground of my body is the skin, not incidentally the only organ that lends its name to the act of its removal. I skin the skin with my fingers and place the shreds on small plates. The rest I can only look at and water. I turn my body into a petting zoo / pumpkin farm, complete with hayride and apple cider. People from all over come to visit. I get rich off the profits and sell the body / petting zoo / pumpkin farm to the sexiest bidder. I retire to a large boat, sitting on a slab of concrete in an abandoned parking lot. 5. Romance and late capitalism. It was like a gay romance on Netflix, of which I had seen many, if not all, and therefore I had a strong sense of what came next. We made eggs for one another with a gay zeal. We went down on one another with sentimental music in the background. We stared at one another's shoes. We went to a friend's wedding. It was really stunning, but full of wealth everywhere, with nice shoes and nicer haircuts. In the straight to Netflix film version, there is a token lesbian and a token sassy black man and a token unsexed or oversexed genderqueer person, the occasional gay announcing he's a top by wearing gym shorts in February. But in the documentary version of what really happened, there were lots of happy white gays reaching for the bouquet. The man I was with said that will be us, referring to all of them grasping, referring to rabidity, to animus, to both definitions of animus, to some beautiful anathema. We get home, referring to some shitty, moldy apartment. We take off our clothes, referring to the clearance rack at Goodwill. We lay down in our bed, unsexed and sexless. The ritual of getting ready took too long for both of us, and after working our collective 7 jobs, filling out applications obsessively, checking our credit card statements, shuffling money from savings to checking and back again, we give up the notion of fucking and just sleep for a while. All right, how much time do I have, Kirby? Yeah? Oh. Okay. So I'm going to read some new poems. This one is called Trying To. I say it's a poem, but I also call it an essay. I'm not sure what it is. All right, Trying To. This is also a very intense poem, so apologies for any emotional side effects. Trying To. This is an essay about the industrialization of literature, churning word factory of relatable but finessed expression you feel compelled to produce, and how instead you would rather talk with your students about contemporary writers using the second person when writing about themselves as a sort of distancing maneuver and a necessarily imperfect attempt to render expansive interior experience in writing from the position of. You also realize that in the writing of this essay from the second person, who is you, a sentence is a sentencing, making the indefinite. Definitely, you don't have the energy to make final proclamations alongside everything else. So you just keep writing as the sentence, which is no longer a sentence, but a perpetual exhalation. You think about how Stein would be upset because you have neither a sentence nor a paragraph, so your writing has no emotions. She says, You say this is fine because if she was alive, she would probably be a Republican and a TERF, so you don't really care about what she would say. You get sad thinking of the possible Stein speech poem essay on trans identity and how she would be flown around to give speeches across the United States in a much bigger plane this time and with a much bigger flag this time. Her grin in the photograph would be exactly the same. And you try not to smile because your parents could never afford to take you to the dentist, so you have what someone from your grad school once in a story draft called poor people teeth, which may or may not be related to the misalignment of your jaw, which may or may not be related to when you dropped a binder containing your homework about which you were very frustrated onto the floorboard of the car and your father punched your face, which then sent your head careening into the window of the car with a thud that was amplified in your ears because the point of contact was close to your eardrum, which may or may not be related to the ringing in your ears, which leads you to ask the dentist to repeat the question every 6 months about seeing an orthodontist, which is not covered by your insurance, which you remind the dentist of once again, followed by the dentist saying that insurance is not the same as healthcare and that you need to take care of your health, which may or may not be related to the intense and chronic headaches that leave you uncertain about being able to do any work is where the heart is, you hear from every corner of the university campus. And what is academia if not a Marxist landlord saying you're perpetuating your own exploitation by working all the time, while a bourgeois suburbanite is saying you're expressing your privilege by working all the time, your therapist says is a coping mechanism to keep the ever-looming questions of the past at a comfortable distance, where your family sits at the table where your father stood behind you and possibly large hands around your throat because you said you're not a Republican, now calling you asking for money because they think being a graduate student means you're a professor. The student says asking for a letter of recommendation you're not qualified to give up feels like a good way out of your emotions. So you stop exercising, washing your hair, cleaning up the clothing on the floor you didn't have time to touch anyway, walking over to the co-op, which has raised its prices 1,000% in the past decade as part of its campaign to rebrand for a future where your family is still sitting around that table since you haven't been home in 5 years, because the last time you found your father had been kicking the family dog until she became paralyzed in the hindquarters, hiding under the bed. She crawls out when you return, taking her outside, hoisting her up at her hind legs. She begins to run around the yard as you struggle to keep up with her. You take her to the vet who says there's nothing they can do, so you pay to put her down on your credit card, gather your things, never go back to where you burn your hands on the portable gas stove, sitting in the middle of the trailer, fighting the winter air leaching through the holes in the metal walls, hands wrapped in cotton socks that leads to an infection, cotton socks scraping that you still avoid to this day in history. You're told to be proud of a gay man who straight people like because he seems like he could be a straight man playing a gay man in the made-for-TV movie, which is truly the gold standard for acceptability. Is mostly uninteresting, but you also want to be left alone by the people in the street every time, seeing your jaw clenching without you knowing it, asking you how I felt. Okay, and then some lighter poems to end. Okay, so this one is called Facing Value. I feel it. I feel uncannily valued. I feel make me robotic. I feel make me feel. Feel proven safe. I feel 20% off with a mail-in rebate. I feel essential. I feel 3 times as effective. Feel improving. Feel healthier. I feel taken aback. Feel taken advantage of. I feel taken. I feel like that feeling when you feel a sort of sinking feeling, like I feel sold to, sold out. I feel felt. I feel seen. I feel saw. I feel sown. I feel few and far between. I feel some kind of itching feeling. I feel texture. I feel upset. I feel an upset stomach. I feel an upset in my day. I feel like a calendar or an armchair or a kitchen table. I feel like that sort of feeling where you don't feel anything really. I feel languaged. I feel like I was written down somewhere in a sentence, and there I am. I feel like there may be a feeling somewhere out there that's a walk, a picking out of various fruits, a flick of the wrist, a resistance of a magnet, a touch of loose clothing, a note on the door, a felt pen scrawling. You go to the small store, inspect various vegetables, put them gently into your bag or cart, carry them to the counter where they are counted and weighed, their heft measured and valued, the stuff of eating valued in calories, the calories valued in weight, the weight valued in money. Weightless digits, you eat them. Their no taste, no texture fill you upness. And if that is a feeling, I feel that too. Thanks. All right, Joshua. So Joshua Escobar is a queer poet from Southern California's Inland Empire. He is the author of the chapbooks California Voltage and XSOXFM, as well as the full-length collection Bareback Nightfall, which debuted with Noemi Press in 2020, which Kirby is showing off so beautifully. He has received fellowships from Shindakan, Storm King, and Contamundo. He started the all-ages DIY zine Orange Mercury, as well as Open Fruit, the creative writing magazine at Santa Barbara City College, where he is the director of creative writing. He's also always looking to make more queer friends at Instagram. Oh wait, let me type. Can I use the chat? I'm gonna put it in. There's the Instagram. Hey, Joshua.
Thanks, Travis. That was really wonderful. And I'm really glad that Kirby brought us together. We're here tonight to celebrate Kirby's work and how beautiful and wonderful this person is. But yeah, I'll read a few poems and then gush about Kirby. So this one's from Bareback Nightfall. Dr. Electronic lies marooned from others. His head lifts up from the arrow root. Limestone comes off our legs, softly frenetic. Where's my mop? I don't have it. Blanks jilt this yarrow. Vista he faces motionless on the azure hillside. I bury my head into his stomach and then suck his clip. He scooches until his knees are at my ears. Sharp specks and strands of hair are on my hands. Gasp his sunny decay. An oily finger fumbles up. He is so tight. My legs are overwhelmed with weeds. Drool on me a little. Bile of half thoughts accumulate in my throat. Yeah, destroy my whole. It spills wider with every second as he smears himself across my mouth. I kiss him. Come on me for the second, third, fourth. Deodorant. His mess. He clamps and says, come on. I deserve this. His shoulder jolting along with the rest. He's going to make me cry again. Shh. Hair, the sky, spices. DJ, I was just like you. Circulation of the marble, of the fragile sane. I am tempted to cry when they shine, while counting the number of illnesses alleviated with a tan. I've been trained to be unsympathetic to the messes you make for yourself. I give out medicine for free on Sierra. My moans know zero. Ill honey bed. Jealous I can sleep. Jealous you can spit. Burning sage to have. My way. I didn't stop for them and their Herculean love of ass. But if I wouldn't have made it, gay bars never play the music of my late brother, but repeats and zippy conversation in a society discovered to death. XO pain, yellow breaths, avocado oil covers my naked doubts, gorgeous fools beside the verisimilitude of setting. Your trail across my feet totals me roughly, with your bare legs where you poke your soft sack in the light, your muscles back sick off the chop shop working with mine. Ending on my knees, I get lube on my hands, you inhale. The next few breaths are soft as you look pretty. The scratch cassette of your back. Start rubbing smooth oil. I love cocks in my mouth. You love letting me come in your hands and then smearing it on my lip. You drench my neck. See? Bottoming pays off. I check if there's any left. You hurt. I came in you but put in overtime. Your gnarly sense in my head, shaking off sleep as I jostle. Your erect chest gets social with my coldness. I lick the same spot. I dig into your chest as much as you want. My cock lets out a single track. Our dicks should date each other. Old hour lines we say between kissing. I number you 390. I still love you. Sweat, spit, cum, and a little blood securitizes me on the rig. My panting keeps you company. My yearning employs music. My last name is Deduction California, married to Cocky Bottom, who tries to position himself as the hottest summer, cries at the sight of sunflowers hung like telephone lines. Your gasping returns, you pin me down and put up with my forelegs while on your knees. Nibble my dirty feet, either of my balls or my OAB, whatever that means. First finger my weak yes until you reach the middle wall. You gotta jump right size, MD. Now address this taxed body, a quarter of me crying as we fuck, running fall and spring with my female friends. For sex strain at the right time, losing, pulling ourselves to the ground where the wind grabs our smells. I steal some back to be pressed for music. To keep sucking as the song plays, paint for your cock at the bar because I got hacked with your spellbinding muscle line rhythm. I taste you for months, you glow. Every day, our noise goes on nameless walls until someone changes the song. Lick you, spit on my erection, hard cock fondle your soft cock, rub your chest hairy and smooth. Wake up not knowing where I am, your beautiful look, yummy legs, pressurized bomb ring, your high fade, your fierce unnatural eyelashes, your cock inside me, enough perfecting my cum, your bites that turn into music, your next track, your pathetic idleness, your cock, your hair, yours. And this poem is called Love Sex, which Kirby posted on Twitter, which I'm eternally grateful for. A blue and black feather clings to us, no matter how many times we throw it. This shed is gay, but not sex-proof. Sunlight I can't get used to. Frozen bee, slick back, my antenna, dense plus intense. The nets in my head stick to the gum I feel in my heart. Gays treat each other's bodies with destructive joys, laundered highs, hot brokenness, flavored pain. We don't have dirty minds, but dirty hearts. I used to split up the discards, shivering at night, moth-eaten tongues, feeling each other's way. So one of the best things about the internet has been seeing Kirby on it and knowing that there's someone who lives their life with all the ferocity that comes with being a gay man who loves having sex with other gay men. And in a world where sexuality is so regulated. And as I was finishing up this manuscript, I saw on Kirby's blog like a picture of like all these beautiful men with like, you know, perfect bodies, but they were all like giving each other a head, which was like traumatizing for some folks. I like the act of giving head, but it was a very beautiful picture, and I just never thought of it in the same way, and it would just open all kinds of doors for me. And so I'm really thankful for it, and that was part of that's part of the beauty and generosity of Kirby as a force in this world. So I want to read some new stuff, which I'm really shy, which I was really shy about, and then I'm really excited about. So this poem, this new stuff is like all one poem, and I find myself always writing about the shipping industry, which is like so near to where I grew up. And what's really funny is that, as you probably know, the shipping industry creates like all these pockets of queer possibility for cruising. And when I was visiting my hometown with my boyfriend last holiday, we went to the neighborhood park where I grew up and had so many like memories. And it was a cruising spot. We were there and like all these truckers were there. It was Thanksgiving and all these men were there. And we're like, why are all these dudes here? And there was like a dude like randomly like peeing like in this park. And it was just like, and then it turns out it's because it's a cruising spot. Who knew, right? So anyways, these are poems about the shipping industry. Gay imps on slow freeways fathom in low Oz, a neon meadow dense and rehearsing purposelessness, whose warm glitch cycles like us traffic back and forth across continent. That classical monster, vulnerable in side yards, drinking dirt from a wood cup, longing beyond this warehouse place, entertaining shelves of light particles, loving to get rich in public. People look through a barricaded construction site off Cabrillo, the bright hollow guardrails and chain fences strung with tarps, to maybe see something glistening within the dark honeycomb of humanity. Love, that ancient fortress of need. Why do problems when establishing jurisdictions place love firmly on the modernity's good side? Because pleasure deteriorates easily since most creatures are shy, because misery has an appetite still there, are blue caves and large stones under the high tide. NASA reporters say the weather on Neptune is a total mystery since it gets almost no sun, which causes weather on Earth. Nowadays, it's so necessary not to work. On dates, my boyfriend keeps mentioning the black bear washing up on Butterfly Beach after the fires. Problems exist on land as they can't in the ocean. Some live for this kind of defiance, regular and sweet papayas sold from the truck by guys quiet like my brother, a pigeon with a twisted feather hopping around the asphalt with jacaranda flowers in the multitudes of the weekend. Kids sprawled across chairs and railings, eating pizza on a beat-up porch, stinging nettle on a trail between three hills, a woman listening to Neo measuring what's not clear in the intense July sunlight, walking under an overpass in Jackson Heights. Warehouses, parking lots, skyscrapers approximate the geography of the internet, its loud, soft nature deliciously invisible, taken up by fanatics of all stripes. Talk is a spicy creature, no stranger to seasons of waste. Side streets cleave a few incongruities of a culture, the serene defacement of what matters. Mankind saw fate coming up for air. Albedo, a jackal invention, deciphering what's visual, early summer. The sky here, a speck of Neptune, peering above regular neighborhoods. A bright peak, its broad shoulder of dirt and plants, consuming a strip of clouds as people conduct their lives of love and pain. Each act and interference, havoc, various kinds, etc. The mercilessness of gridlock, the bewildering pause teenagers articulate, that damp motor controls the wheel of modern life. Clay-like animals swim in the tension coursing through outer regions whose big red movie theaters yell on time. Dark-skinned men face the wall. Youth keeps buffering along stucco walls and unused steps. Families along the way ask, what is it? Why are fields detached from reality? The rolling dormant foothills ahead and thinned out between cap the horizon after it rains. Logic sheepishly gazes up at the pinnacle of people and industry, like its demographic capable of seeing double. How am I on time, sweet Kirby? Okay, one more minute. I'll keep going. All right, I'll read a little bit more.
Darling, read what you love. Finish when you
All right.
finish. We're good.
I got you. You know you're in a gay space when you can be as late or long as you want. If I spend a few minutes drawing or romanticizing Neptune, the worlds of Nintendo will be sought long after my death. Teenage glisten demands fell in the roofing, thought functioning by hype, diagrammic public, finally seeing the hairy, sweaty impasse of us and them, the feckless hour, the peaking of day labor, work with no boundaries. Some roses sticking out between tears, all have suffered. Echelons casually ungathered, the most beautiful thing about the city. Mice in abandoned beds, water dense, part of Euclid. When fog seems total, hospitals bracing influx, zoned like no other. Triple waves of spare punk fondness was cracked and served. The jammer of love lost in brilliance, Driving in the early evening, jealous of armies, surprise almost verges, trash comprised of area. Drugs, west of mysterious and fresh, boyfriends and girlfriends, registering as solo, a bad year for public furniture, dreaming in gallons, fate pirated, the way we go through clothing, breath of imperfection that shifts someone's relationship to time and its attendant inventions, soaking up the psychofabulousness free of innuendo, famous for its fox cut, sideways champion, eternity whiplashes, awash in heartbeats, alluring magnitude of dry light, legions where enmity and pleasure reside, multiple kinds of enough. So I have the pleasure of introducing Kirby as an incredible poet. Meeting Kirby it's Kirby, they're just full of life and light. But on the page, I find that Kirby in their newest collection documents their queer existence across decades. And it operates as this kind of archive diary song, and it's very beautiful and very subjective and very unapologetically gay and sexual. So it's the best kind of museum there is out there. But in her own words, Kirby is a professional homosexual. Their new book, Poetry is Queer, from Palimpsest Press, releases October 1st and can be pre-ordered at knifeforkbook.shop. All right, darling, the floor is yours.
Joshua, thank you so much. And Travis, to hear new work from you both, I just feel really, really doubly blessed. And thanks for taking the time to sit with me and open tonight. And thanks for your kind and generous words, both of you. And Joshua, thank you from your heart. So thank you so much. If you'll notice behind me, I'm amongst friends. All the books behind me have informed me my entire life. As a young queer, I didn't have a whole lot of gay friends, so I found my queers in books, and they became my companions. And some I still confer with to this day. Some I have daily conversations, and they are conversations that I carry through in Poetry is Queer. I'm not really good at talking about my work. I really love having my words speak what my work is. So let's begin. There is but a single success story in my life. I never managed to kill my fairy. It was a pleasure just to light his cigarette. I remember first glimpses of the Toronto skyline, late 70s, my teen heart skipping a beat, anticipating what the big city might hold, a heavier foot on the gas pedal. Now remember, you're in a foreign country, my mother admonished. Don't get into trouble. I reached the St. Charles Tavern on Yonge. Now only its clock tower remains in glory. Interiors resembling a roadhouse or a hunting lodge. And one had to join a large wooden table with others seated to be served. You can't walk around with a beer? How strange. How does one cruise here? I inquire in the loo. You must be from the States, the hunky barback smiles. Not much cruising around here. There's a bathhouse around the corner on Carlton, now known as the first bathhouse I've ever been kicked out of. Got caught serving cock in the showers. Apparently, you had to be in a room to commit fellatio. It's the rules. I didn't know. That one knows better. The tossing attendant points to my current matinee idol as we both return to our lockers to get dressed. I'll meet you outside, he winks. In the village, an aproned boy replenishes cukes at the corner grocer. He notices, smiles. I follow him inside. You're from the States. Again? Am I tattooed? We don't cruise like that here. He gets off at 10. No, I've never mistaken Canada for the States. If there's one moment of closeness, of shared intimacy, of unstated desire, that of service, it was the simple pleasure of lighting his cigarette. A deference to who the man was or would be in a relationship, however brief. The match, the flame, the fire, the lean in, the illumination, the proximity, the cupping of hands, the touch, the smoke, the desire. I didn't smoke myself, God knows I tried. But after several attempts, my body was having none of it. Tracheal bronchitis trumped Marlboros. I would become the lighter of men. Smoking's allure became as uncool as the cancer it called, and like many legalities impacting our bodies, mostly frowned upon. Strictly a vice, a pleasure allocated to the curb. My people have always been street people. Pot dispensaries now rule every square inch of Toronto. What remains of the gay village has at least one per block. Convenient. The city has changed. Too many of my go-to places gone. I'm older, an easier target. Dark corners, those you can still find, carry different, more ominous imaginings, not as inviting. I used to court trouble. Now, I only admire it from afar. I've walked with Kavafi my entire life, a constant companion, always at my side. We confer throughout the day. On walks, conversations, be prepared for distractions, a string of them repetitively, one after the other. Suddenly, he'll stop. I'll follow his gaze, knowing well where it leads. Wait, let's sit a moment. The boy is classic Turkish, large Roman nose, ears, lips, trim beard, slight fade, spiked on top, inked, a noose, with a wisp of hair above the tank, basketball shorts, commando, with those furry legs he so loves. Do you see that walk? His walk. Such ease, grace. A young man who's never known anything other than owning the ground each step. Yes, that one's trouble. Really? How can you tell? He'd rob me of what I haven't already laid at his feet and step over my body bleeding out. But would you die happily? Perhaps. He takes out his kerchief, wipes his mouth, looks away as though spotted by the boy, glances up again. The boy smiles, grabs his cock through his shorts, opens his mouth, releasing his tongue. Oh yes, he could hurt me. Hi, darlings. The pleasure of your company. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Dennis Cooper. For those of you who might not know Dennis Cooper, oh, there isn't a fucking queer in here that doesn't know Dennis Cooper, but I will show you my favorite cover of his. This is the first queer book of poetry I ever purchased. That's the original copy, Idols by Dennis Cooper. Now, how I found this, it was a classified ad in Christopher Street magazine. And this was the classified ad, of course. And I'm like all of like in my teens. It was $4.95 mailed. I'm having it mailed to my parents' home, praying my mom doesn't pick up the mail first. And Dennis Cooper has lived large in my life, my entire life. But let me read this piece I have on Dennis. Dennis Cooper is a boy you want to have a fort with. The kind of boy I dreamed of walking across the cornfield to meet and see what he might be up to. The kind you sneak into R-rated horror movies with, steal smokes, chips, a candy bar. I knew he was trouble, and that simply added fuel to the fire. He's the boy in every all-male teenage angst film, Bloody Knife in Hand. He knew I wanted him and would do anything for him. Don't worry, I won't tell anybody. This is exactly how Cooper's writing affected me. Like we belonged to the same secret club, and each day we had to do as he would say, prove we were good enough to be near him, his shit-eating grin. And even then, it was entirely up to him. His work tills a kind of familiar terrain that one draws you in unexpectedly, makes you feel involved, if even only a spectator. Truth be told, he was my first. The first to openly name my desires in poetry, writing about pop stars and boy crushes, David Cassidy to John F. Kennedy Jr., Hustlers, Neighborhood Boys, an early chapter, a chapbook named Tiger Beat, after the teen pinup magazine had a huge close-up of a smiling Leif Garrett on the cover. It was part of a small press Cooper started in the mid-70s, Little Caesar, which also published Joe Brainerd, Eileen Miles, Tom Clark, Rimbaud. His collection Idols came out from another early gay imprint of the 70s, the Seahorse Press, that was published by Felice Picano. As a teen, I took the risk of mail ordering it to my family's house and prayed that I would get to the mail before my mom. The cover itself, a wet dream. Bare legs stand on a marble platform, pants butched at his ankles, idols etched in stone. Turns out we both had a thing for David Cassidy. I mean, holy fuck, how could you not? Those dimples, that radiant shine of his shag haircut, those sweater vests, wide collar shirts, bare legs, flares in tight double knit, emphasizing his religion. He was a sex bomb in Cooper's David Cassidy Then. David Cassidy picks me on the dating game. I walk around the partition and there he is. A quick kiss, then Jim Lang gives us the good news. David, we'll be flying you and your date to Rio de Janeiro. This was every gay boy's dream on every gay boy's dream trip. To devour these words, fan the flame of teen boy desires, and know they're completely between Dennis and me. When Dennis signed my copy of Frisk, he drew us both as ghosts, one named Kirby, the other Dennis, playing with each other. His second collection, The Tenderness of Wolves, may be a better written book, but it's my copy of Idols that is worn. It closes with a poem I carry with me to this day, Jeff, after a long time. Seeing you after a time, your looks turning on the same jocks. A dark bar in town. Our eyes warm up over the buzz at your table, still touch across the distance, didn't forget. Just our feelings to hold us together, now when our minds are off in directions our bodies lag behind. And just a poem to show when I grow tender, you remain that friend I am reaching for. Needless to say, I wasn't allowed to be boy crazy in my teens. Oh, I was. But to demonstrate even a thimbleful of interest, game over. So I did what most clever gays do, scrap adolescence, leap from childhood to adult, lie and pretend otherwise. Many do for the remainder of their lives. Some marry the opposite, have kids, only to come out later, if at all. Then chastise themselves either for not coming out sooner or for ruining their once happy family. It would kill them really meant I would lose everything. This was the definition of being gay for most men my age. Liars, cheaters, criminals, hated, despised, ostracized, fired, laughed at, beaten, killed. Of course, everyone always knew. Just don't say anything. Yeah, but things are different now. I cannot hear the name Matthew Shepard. And how many trans being beaten to death, murdered, hated. It may be less, but no, still the same. I dream Johnny Mathis sings me one long song, love song, before I die. I'm just a boy in love, comes close, close. If you don't know my references, then look them up. I'm tired of making it easy. Sappho, Lord, Clifton, Jordan, Rich, Wen, Broussard, Morey, Stein, Winterston, Michaels, Acker, Califia. This is an extremely short list, but it will get you started. Provide much needed strength, guidance, lust, and compassion for the daily. I've had to come to a full stop here. Tears. The special kinship often held between women and gays. There is no hierarchy of oppression. Audre Lorde in all her powers, clarity. I was born Black and a woman. I am trying to become the strongest person I can become to live the life I have been given and to help effect change towards a livable future for this earth and for my children. As a Black lesbian feminist socialist poet, mother of two, including one boy and a member of an interracial couple, I usually find myself part of some group in which the majority defines me as deviant, difficult, inferior, or just plain wrong. I simply do not believe that one aspect of myself can possibly profit from the oppression of my other part of my identity. Words given a voice, body shaping, life-changing words in a lifelong struggle of simply seeking to become and live the best of all possible lives and nothing less for the future of all. Stand with me. It was this single sentence that first breathed air into the possibility that I don't have to hate myself for being different. Lorde, describing her own prose writings in 1982, said, "They're not academic. They're a piece of my life-saving equipment." Lifesavers, all. That's who these poets are and continue to be. What queer good fortune to have remarkable writers quicken us, take our hands, guide, give us a necessary path. June Jordan, Who Look at Me, Adrienne Rich, Heroines. While when Fortune Cookie, No Fortune, Jeanette Winterston, Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal? Jeanette Winterston, I was a woman. I was a working class woman. I was a woman who wanted to love women without guilt or ridicule. The left has taken a long time to fully include women as independent, as equals, and no longer to unfold women's sexuality into a response to male desire. I felt uncomfortable and sidelined by what I knew of left-wing politics, and I wasn't looking to improve the conditions of my life. I wanted to change my life out of all recognition. I wanted to change my life out of all recognition. A single line, the will to imagine, to not conform, the will to do something completely different, to somehow be in this world. It's not a straight line. It was these women who showed me I had a place at the table, not men, gay or other. And that table was not exclusive, and it shouldn't be now. And Sappho, hear from her wonderful Twitter feed. And what excites my mind, your laughter glittering. So when I see you for a moment, my voice goes. Because I prayed this word, I want. May you sleep on the breast of your delicate friend. She blazes, beckons, coaxes, lights our way. Hi, darlings. Stay with me, okay? A few more. Thank you for coming tonight. Cockland, 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 Cockland. I walk into the GLTB Community Center on 13th in New York City, and a lovely receptionist looks up. You're here for the Keith Haring washroom. It's clearly written all over my GWM ma'am of a certain age tourist face. Right at the top of the steps, enjoy. Can you imagine a better welcome? Me neither. Mind you, she knows how to find a men's washroom. The vibe of this place is gay. Much like the remarkable 519 up the street from me on Church, and an old school building retrofitted to the tits with clean, wide stairwells, hallways, queer art, plants, fully accessible meeting rooms, a cafe, a gated patio, workspaces, offices for the plethora of community organization services, and the nonprofit queer book emporium, BGSQD, Bureau of General Services Queer Division, brilliant fucking shop. Clearly a hangout for regs and newbies who feel at home if home is gay central. Not nearly as cruisy as the village once was. There's a veneer of politeness accompanies looks these days. Open cruising has been shunned for some time now. Desires be damned. There's nothing quite like a gaggle of gays whose voices, laughter carry freely throughout an old school building. I've never heard that before. Soon I reach the top of the steps. Enter Haring's Glory Land. It's Candyland for cock lovers. I've always loved graffiti in bathrooms, a useful community billboard of sorts, a variety of personals and promises, show hard for a BJ, meet me here at 3, where's the glory hole, kill fags. It captures the decades of public washroom sex where I found men of all classes, races, ages, preferences, desires, all looking for variations of the same thing, taking care of business daily. And darlings, the men's room on the second floor is busy. Hundreds of orifices filled with cocks, balls, all shapes and sizes, entire mazes of flesh interconnected, engaged, the promise of sexual longing sought, fulfilled, one continuous bacchanalia of rapturous phallic delights, shared connections of a sexual tribe. The way Herring portrays the male genitals reveals both unceasing, voracious, and submerging desire, and is an allegory for nirvana. Keith was such a gay boy with a beautiful cock himself. His images persona always invited play. He titled his mural, Once Upon a Time, in 1989, and quite tellingly, this was one of the last public works he chose to complete before he died of AIDS less than a year later. It was to mark the 20th anniversary of Stonewall. He had his pop shop. He could have done anything. He chose what was central to him, his activism. He wanted this to be his memorial, to exist in the men's room, his playground, to immortalize the joys found. As Mark Doty's Homo Will Not Inherit discovers, no one needs your eternity. This city's failing city's radiant as any will ever know, paved with oily rainbow charred gates, jeweled with tags, swoops of letters over letters, indecipherable as anything written by desire. I am not ashamed to love Babylon's scrawl. How could I be? It's written on my face as much as on these walls. The city's inescapable, gorgeous, and on fire. I have my kingdom. New York, my Babylon. Just a few more, my darlings. Thanks for being with me. Do you think you'll die of AIDS? Paul asks as I scan the new names added to the AIDS memorial behind the 519. Tom, Bernard, Andrew, James. Can you believe people are bitching about guys having sex here at night? I reply, touching George, Robert. Hell, they'd be thrilled knowing it was still happening. I don't know what will be worse. Surviving AIDS, surviving loss. Why does one die and another not? How then shall we live? I enter a Trick's apartment. It's dark. My eyes adjust first to his eyes. Smile. Kirby, I want you to know once these lesions reach my face, it's over. I'm too vain. Michael, Jimmy, Claude, do you hear? Nobody even knew he had it. Not his family, his boyfriend, nobody. Jeff, Gino, Kelly. Run into Emil piggybacking Michael on Young Street, blasted out of their gourds on their way to. Have fun, you two? The last time seeing either. A birthday party for Brenda Bryan, free pouring in the kitchen, filled with raucous chatter and laughter, and suddenly a woman screams, "You're all gonna fucking die for fuck's sake. I don't see how any of you could be laughing." At home, Scott dances naked in the hallway again, singing Donna Summer, sees me, smiles, blows kisses, entreats me to join. There's only one way I made it through. I stopped counting. I am a professional homosexual. I have made my living my entire life as a homosexual. I have never wanted nor known anything other than being a homosexual. It has been the entirety of my life. I'm not saying it was all that gay, but it has been grand. It's a sweet thing, looking back and feeling, actually knowing I wouldn't have changed it for. Mind you, it's Wednesday, and I'm stoned and listening to the Smiths. 15 minutes with you, I wouldn't say no. Has a single voice graced my bedroom more? Slayed me, saved me. You can pin and mount me like a butterfly. Gym socks, briefs, big fucking Belinda Carlisle blue Old Navy sweater, or Robert Smith, depending on the night. Meet me at the fountain. At a time when being gay meant being a fag who wanted to. There's lots of things I know I want, but the thing I know most about this lifetime is being a homosexual. I'm certain it's the same for you, wondering if you're homosexual or not, or if anybody knows, or if everybody knows or think they know, and fuck them. Sing me to sleep. Sing me to sleep. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. The thing is, my being a homosexual has brought me here, this very moment, to you. It could have been different. It could have not been. But she insisted. She simply must. I would have missed you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Joshua. Please make a point of picking up our books at knifeforkbook.shop. Any one of these 3 books that you pick up tonight, I'm donating $1 to the Meal Trans program at the 519. It's a walk-in dinner drop-in for trans men, trans women, gender queers, questioning. I can't imagine a better cause. Darlings, thank you.